Hi. So I'm Liam. I'm the global marketing lead for professional design at Canva, which is a relatively new area for Canva, as you probably know. I came over from a company called Affinity. We were acquired by Canva about a year ago, and we make professional design tools. So this is a new space for Canva to be working in. I've spent around 2 decades now working in brand design and marketing. And today we're not going to talk about trends. I'm going to try and unpack how brands are evolving with generations and how our tools are, along with others, forward-thinking brands, are trying to power that shift. We're proud to have embraced generational design shifts and powered our mission to empower the world to design. We've strived to keep our workflows simple, user-centric, keeping creativity usable, accessible, and most importantly, no longer gate-kept. We all live in a world where visual communication has become the universal language of work. The internet gave us access to information and allowed teams to collaborate across the globe. It could be a new device. The iPhone made work mobile, and suddenly your office was in your pocket. And it's something completely unexpected. The pandemic refined where work happens. Overnight, working from the kitchen table became the new norm. And now we're at the start of something very big, the dominance of AI. AI is reshaping everything again, in boardrooms, classrooms, and creative studios. Everyone is asking the same questions. How do we embrace AI? How do we make it work for us? AI is changing how we create, how we collaborate, and how we automate. But it's not only AI that's changing how we work today. We're also working in a world where visuals have become the fastest and most effective way to communicate. Attention spans are short. Messages need to land quickly. And what that means is being clear, engaging, and visual. We've entered what we call the visual economy, where how you communicate is just as important as what you say. And at Canva, we believe we're entering a new era of work. But first, let's take a step back and look at how we got to this point. Generation X came from scarcity and rebellion. They hacked design to make a point. Millennials bought polish, process, and presentation. They made design a form of self-expression, and Gen Z flipped that. They made it messy again, interactive and immediate. And Gen Alpha, well, they didn't really see design as a discipline. It will be the default language of communication. They'll design by speaking to an interface or swiping through an AR layer. If your brand doesn't evolve with these shifts, then it becomes static. If your tools can't flex with these shifts, they become irrelevant. Gen X used design like a raised fist. It was DIY, subversive, and raw. Gen X was the mixtape generation that came at an age in pre-digital, analog-heavy world where cutting out letters and photocopying flyers was design. And that showed up in early brand aesthetics. It was grunge. It was glitchy, and it was earned. Think of Apple's Think Different campaign. It's not just an ad, but a cultural permission slip. It said, "You're not crazy, you're creative." That was the Gen X design thinking, bold, minimal, subversive. And yet it laid the foundation for modern tech brands to act like cultural leaders. Then came the millennials, raised on Apple, trained in UX, and curators of feed-based identity. Millennials brought hierarchy and harmony into digital design. They created the rules of modern UX. They demanded seamless, beautiful interfaces. Think early Instagram, soft filters, flat design, edge-to-edge curation. Affinity particularly was perfect for this moment. It made professional design possible for startups, students, solo designers, and it stuck because the tools didn't feel like legacy software. They felt millennial native. Gen Z didn't grow up online. They grew up inside the internet. They don't design for finality, they design for velocity. Canva is where they build presentations and party invites, mood boards and memes. They're designed for the scroll, not the shelf. They're fluent in raw and remix culture. They treat templates and springboards as springboards. Their aesthetic is intentionally chaotic because perfection is corporate and realness is power. I've seen Gen Z creators launch entire brand collaborations from Canva on their mobile in a weekend, and the content it performs better than agency-produced campaigns. That should tell us something. So let me share a quick story. We recently made an amazing video, or I think it was an amazing video for Affinity. It was polished. It was the kind of thing that you would submit to Cannes. And soaring music, rich color grading. It was emotional. And then when we tested this with an audience, one of the, it was a Gen Z creator, they instantly said, well, it's nice, but I wouldn't share it. They didn't say it wasn't good. She said it wasn't relevant. It didn't invite her in, and it was designed to impress, not connect. And that's the lesson. Gen Z doesn't want to be sold to. They want to be seen and given a role in the brand story. Canva connected with Gen Z because it matched their mindset. Create fast, iterate often, and share everything. The days of November rain are gone. Think Barbara's Rhubarb Bar. So let's talk about a brand that didn't just launch a product. It launched a cultural standard. Fenty Beauty hit the market with 40 foundation shades. It did what decades of beauty industry hadn't. It made inclusion the baseline, not the innovation. And this wasn't just product strategy, it was design. The packaging, the visual identity, the tone, everything was stripped of elitism and built around relatability. Campaign visuals weren't aspirational, they were representational. That's powerful. What I love about Fenty's design language is how it made people feel like they belonged. And that's what we as designers and marketers should be aiming for. Design that doesn't just look good, but design that feels like an open door. Empowering everyone to design with accessible tools that can be the platform that makes this kind of representation possible. Removing gatekeepers, allowing generational flex regardless of background, true creativity without barriers. Moving on to Spotify. Spotify Wrapped is a case study I keep returning to because it's not just a marketing win, it's a design win. Wrapped turns cold, passive data into something emotional. It gives you a story about yourself. It gives you something to share. It's your personality rendered in colorful gradients and bold copy, ready to go viral. Here's what's brilliant. It doesn't require a massive budget to do this. The ingredients are simple: data, visualization, and customization. That's what makes it magical. And that's what makes the user the star. The brand fades back just enough for them to take center stage. That's modern design. Not design that says, look at us, but design that says, look at you, and we're here to help you frame it. And Canva. Well, old school branding was obsessed with consistency. Same color, same placement, same tagline every time. That made sense when media was limited, but now brands live in Instagram Reels, tweets, podcasts, intros, chatbots, uniformity. It isn't just hard, it's outdated. What we need is coherence. A brand system that's emotionally and tonally aligned, even if the expression changes format to format. And that's what Canva brand kits are built for. That's what Affinity's design systems are enabling. Brand should feel like a rhythm and not a repeat. The new brand standard isn't look the same everywhere, it's feel like you everywhere. And Gen Alpha is on the way. They're building worlds in Roblox. They're using voice to ask AI to generate scenes. This isn't science fiction. This is their after-school routine. They won't think in campaigns. They'll think in systems, in universes, in co-created sandboxes. Customization is king, and it's an area Canva and Affinity together will be taking full advantage of. So our job, whether we're brand leaders, marketers, designers, or educators, is to build tools that keep up. Tools that aren't legacy, tools that don't assume that you've read the manual. Canva and Affinity aren't just the current generation for the current generation of creatives, we're for the next ones too. For the ones who will expect creativity to feel as natural as this conversation. So what does this all mean? It means that design is no longer a gated domain. It's a cultural language, one that looks different to every generation. And that's not a problem. That's the point. Gen X used design to challenge, millennials refined it, and Gen Z embraced it for personal expression. Gen Alpha will make it disappear into everyday interaction. But our responsibility, whether we lead, teach, design, or ship product, is to support that evolution. And Canva and Affinity, we're not just responding to that shift. We're working with our communities to power it, because good design doesn't belong to a generation, it belongs to everyone. To empower the world to design, that's a mission that's powered our first decade. And we did it by making the process simple, intuitive, and accessible. We've purposely focused on the 99% of people without formal design training and helped them create content that's clear, visual, and impactful, helping them all to live and thrive in the visual economy that surrounds us all. Thank you so much for listening. I'd be happy to take any questions at the mic at the front if you have any. Thank you.